Good evening to you on tonight's BBC London. A stark warning, the Met Commissioner says without substantial extra funding, the force will not be able to meet targets to cut crime. But a lack of funds is not the only challenge facing the Met. Tackling toxic culture is another, as one whistleblower has been telling us.
We want to stamp out misogyny, sexism, racism, homophobia, but for him to still continue to just blatantly say these comments and the confidence, I was absolutely shocked.
A record fine for Thames Water for failing its customers over sewage spills and shareholder payouts will be getting some reaction. A large vigil and prayers for a mother and her children who died in a house fire in Brent.
And we're with the Chelsea fans in Poland who are hoping to see their team make a bit of football history and bring the Conference League trophy back to London.
Good evening to you. In a rare move, the head of the Metropolitan Police, Sir Mark Rowley, has warned that without extra money for policing in next month's spending review, the government won't be able to keep its promises on crime. Sir Mark Rowley has said that years of cuts have left forces overstretched. His comments come as the Mets face several challenges, including tackling toxic culture. More on that in a moment with a whistleblower on inappropriate behaviour who's spoken to our colleague Sonia Jessup. But first, here's our political editor, Carl Mercer.
Change isn't for everyone.
This was the Metropolitan Police's new advert launched a year ago, a plea for people to join up and help change the force. But within months, its commissioner was warning of big cuts, speaking out ahead of the autumn budget.
The Chancellor's been very clear it's a difficult public sector context of a scale that's never going to be absorbed by efficiencies and is going to require some pretty eye-watering cuts to the services we provide to London.
Writing in the Times with other police chiefs today, the Commissioner, who's already cutting 1,700 jobs from the Met, warns they wouldn't be able to cut crime and provide more neighbourhood police without more money.
We're carrying the scar tissue of years of austerity cuts and the effects of that. Forces are much smaller when you compare the population they're policing than they were a decade or 15 years ago. So we're up for change, we're up for doing things differently, we're up for being radical and reforming, but it also needs more money.
He's also raised concerns over the government's review of sentencing, which could see more offenders released earlier into the community.
Yesterday we were chasing round a teenager who's been involved in machete attacks, who's previously been arrested for firearms and machete offences. We sought his remand in custody. Even under the current system, he was eventually bailed. He skipped his bail on his tag, and we've put massive resources into chasing him around. He's been caught with a machete again. That's going on day in and day out. Every time you put an offender into the community, a proportion of them will commit crime.
On a visit to a building site today, the Deputy Prime Minister said the government was supporting police forces.
We've put more money into policing. We know that we also need to look at how we modernise policing, and we also need to make sure that our prison system can cope with the demand. The Tories left it in a complete failure. We're determined to turn that around.
The police, of course, will be competing with everyone else for a bigger share of the pot in the spending review. Carl Mercer, BBC London.
Well, of course, another challenge facing the Met is restoring trust in the force, following a series of scandals, with the Commissioner promising to root out rogue officers and tackle toxic behaviour. But BBC London has spoken to a former 999 call handler who has accused the force of failing to protect whistleblowers. Our Home Affairs correspondent Sonia Jessup is with me now. Sonia, you've been speaking to her. What has she been telling you?
Well, Izzy Fine was working as a 999 call handler in 2023 when she made a complaint about a male colleague about offensive comments that he made. Now, he was investigated, sacked, but later given his job back. Just a warning to people, particularly if you're watching with younger viewers, that you are going to hear some of the bad language used in my report. So the report's about 3 minutes long if you want to go away and come back. But we felt it was important to be very clear about the circumstances and the content in this report. Izzy Vine says she signed up to join the police to help others. But during one shift, taking 999 calls, she became concerned about comments made by a male colleague. The first as he dealt with a case where a woman had reported she'd been raped.
He covered his mouth with his hand like that, so behaviour already knowing that you shouldn't say it, and said she sounds like a bit of a slut.
Later, in that same shift, she says he told her he'd taken a call from an immigrant and then showed her his phone.
He got his notes app and he typed, "Why don't you F off back to your own country?" And I just thought, again, I was in absolute shock.
She said later, while she was taking a call about the Clapham area, he whispered to her that it was Sarah Everard turf. Sarah Everard had been kidnapped from Clapham in 2021 by police officer Wayne Cousins before he raped and murdered her. Izzy Vine said this shift took place in 2023, just a month after the Baroness Casey review, which found the Met was institutionally misogynist, racist and homophobic. The force had promised to tackle toxic behaviour.
We were highlighting at the time how we want to stamp out misogyny, sexism, racism, homophobia, but for him to still continue to just blatantly say these comments, and the confidence that he had to say it to a random colleague.
The following day, Izzy Vine reported her concerns. In November, the staff member was sacked for gross misconduct, but 4 months later he won an appeal and got his job back. When she asked why, she says this is what she was told.
He said, "I just don't think it's gross misconduct. I think it's misconduct only. I think a dismissal is too harsh, and the original panel were too heavily influenced by Baroness Casey report and the Violence Against Women and Girls campaign."
What did you think of that?
I was absolutely shocked.
She resigned a month later, saying she felt unable to carry on in her role and is now suing the Met over a number of allegations, including constructive dismissal. The Met says,
"These discriminatory comments were entirely unacceptable, which is why this matter was brought to a misconduct hearing. We take the former staff members' concerns about the outcome of the misconduct process extremely seriously, and it's been subject to a thorough review."
The force has previously said that the launch of an internal hotline has encouraged more whistleblowers to come forward, but Ms Vine says she no longer trusts the Met.
All these stupid promises that are coming from the top, they just never trickle down into the people that are actually on the ground doing the job and the work. Yeah, they always say change starts from the inside. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. You can't get any change made, or you're not listened to or heard in a service like that.
She says her hearing is due to take place in 2027. Sonia Jessup, BBC London.
And our political editor, Carl Mercer, joins us now. And Carl, what can be done to tackle toxic culture?
Well, a huge amount needs to be done, as you see now. And we've seen plenty of other examples like that, haven't we? The Met and the Commissioner was saying this morning, look, we are trying to do stuff. We've got leadership courses going, trying to get leaders to change the culture. But that has then got to trickle down, hasn't it? There is a whistleblowers hotline that people can ring. But again, it's OK ringing it, but what happens once you've rung it? And I don't think there's that confidence amongst particular female staff at the moment that is going to come through to fruition. So there is a lot more that needs to be done, and I think Sir Mark Rowley would accept that.
And how significant was the Commissioner's move this morning?
Yeah, interesting. Spending review coming up in 2 weeks. Lots of people will be lobbying government, saying, give us some more money. Most of them doing it behind closed doors. The Commissioner going up front and saying, I need the money, I need it now, I can't do my job unless you give me the money to do it. I'm not sure that's the approach the Mayor would want him to take, but it's certainly one he feels he needs to take.
Our political editor, Carl Mercer, thank you very much. Now, Thames Water has been given the largest ever fine by the regulator. It's for breaking rules on sewage treatment and payouts to shareholders. The company, which is already in debt, has been ordered to pay more than £120 million for a series of failures. Let's speak to our reporter Layla Hayes, who is by the River Thames in Hampton. Layla.
Hi, well, Thames Water is the UK's largest water company. It takes its name, of course, from the beautiful River Thames here behind me, and it has 16 million customers in London and the South East. And we are not far from one of the company's water treatment plants here in Hampton. Now, one of the reasons it has received that record fine today is because the regulator says it has breached the rules over sewage spills into our waters. And of course, that's an issue we've covered many times on our programme. And it comes, of course, when customers have seen bills go up by nearly a third this year. Well, today we've been asking people here what they think.
It's a scandal, frankly, the way that they've been allowed to operate that business.
It's not a good place to be for any of us, is it really? I think they need to, but I think the government needs to get involved.
They should get that kind of fine. I mean, we're trying to look after the environment, make sure that the rivers are usable and for the wildlife, and if they're going to dump sewage in it, and they really need to just clean up their act.
I think taking another million something off them, that's money that could be spent on improving the sewage and water.
We live in Kingston and there's a lot of people that enjoy the river, and it is quite sad that this happens and that even though they get fined, nothing is done with it.
Well, Thames Water have responded today. They have said they take their responsibility towards the environment very seriously, but the regulator Ofwat has said Thames Water has let down its customers and failed to protect the environment. Well, the company now has to pay a fine of just over £122 million. They say that will be paid by Thames Water and its shareholders and not by customers. I have to say, everyone I have spoken to here today say they hope that is true.
Layla Hayes, thank you very much. A large prayer service has been held to remember a mother and 3 of her children who died in a house fire in Brent over the weekend. More than 150 people came together in Stonebridge to light candles and leave tributes for Nusrat Usman, her daughter and 2 sons who all died in the fire. Greg Mackenzie was there.
A community united in grief as residents of the St Ralph's estate stood in the pouring rain last night, praying for a much-loved family who tragically died in a house fire early Saturday morning. Many holding back tears as they paid tribute to the victims. 43-year-old Nusrat Usman, her 15-year-old daughter Mariam Mikhael, and her 2 sons, 8-year-old Musa and Raiz Usman, who was 4. More than 70 firefighters from stations across Wembley, Park Royal and Willesden were sent to tackle the blaze.
We love you and we love your family. And we remember Musa and Mariam and Malaika forever.
A 13-year-old girl who has not been named remains in hospital in a critical condition, while a woman in her 70s has been discharged. They were both from the adjoining property.
You can see, you can feel the loss that people are feeling, and that is St Ralph's, that they care about one another, that they look after one another, and they care about everyone.
As residents took a silent walk, the atmosphere was heavy with mourning and sorrow. Some carried flowers, pausing for a 1-minute silence outside the fire-gutted homes.
More than 200 residents have gathered here this evening to pay their respects to the family who lost their lives in the property just in front of me. Many say they are still shocked and saddened and are coming to terms with what has happened here in this close-knit community.
The father and wider family of the victims have requested privacy. The Metropolitan Police have told us they are currently being supported by specialist officers. A 41-year-old man who was known to the family and arrested at the scene has been bailed and detained under the Mental Health Act. Greg Mackenzie, BBC London.
Right, let's take a look at some of the day's other news. A review has concluded that Heathrow Airport made the right decision to close after a fire at a nearby electricity substation in March. More than 1,300 flights were affected by the unprecedented closure, disrupting the travel plans of around 200,000 people. The review, led by the former Transport Secretary, Ruth Kelly, found that other choices available to the airport would not have minimised the disruption. Specialist dental services at a Surrey hospital could be under threat, the BBC has learned. East Surrey Hospital in Redhill currently provides a range of specialist dental services, including the treatment of children with specialist needs. Staff have been told the trust is considering options including closure. Surrey and Sussex Healthcare NHS Trust said it had no plans to stop the services we are currently providing at East Surrey Hospital. A defibrillator recently installed on Mount Everest by a charity working from Oxted in Surrey has saved the life of a climber. David Sullivan travelled to the Himalayas to place the equipment on the mountain at 20,000 feet. On his return, he learned he had helped restart the heart of a French woman. Now it's a subject that splits opinion across the capital. Should cannabis be decriminalised? A new report by the London Drugs Commission, backed by the Mayor Sir Sadiq Khan, is recommending just that. The report advises that using small amounts of the drug for personal use should not be a crime. But not everyone agrees. Here's Barry Caffrey.
If you legalise cannabis, you give the connotations to people that it's healthy and it's okay.
I think it could be a positive thing in the long run.
The views of some young people at a youth organisation in South London called Elevated Minds.
Black people, especially black men across London, are getting fed up of being constantly stopped and searched for times that they are innocent. And I know that that's seriously worsening the relationship between black people and the police.
Do you worry that if this war was to come in, that people will actually want to be, doing something that is illegal?
I think it will remove the thrill of young people who are eager to try alcohol and try drugs because it's now legal. So it's you're doing it and it's just okay. It's not like the government is not going to bat an eye at you. The police is not going to bat an eye at you. You're not going to get in trouble with it.
Among the recommendations is for natural cannabis to be removed under the Misuse of Drugs Act, where it is currently classed as a Class B drug, and instead maintain it as a controlled substance under the Psychoactive Substances Act. The report says that possession of a small quantity of cannabis for personal use should be decriminalised, and says people facing the prospect of a potential prison sentence for possession feels excessive.
The law doesn't deter. You can see from the fact that cannabis is the most popular illegal drug, not just in the country, but in the world. The law's not working to deter, and the police don't enforce the law, in particular in London, and it sours community relations.
Doreen Sinclair has worked with young people, mainly from the black community, for more than 30 years. She says any change in the law would be wrong.
I don't like the idea simply because cannabis is not a legal drug now. We know what cannabis does to young people. I've been to mental health institutions and seen young people who are there for psychosis or whatever the reasons because of drug taking, but in particular cannabis, mixing it with whatever. So no, I don't like the idea.
The government has said the report's recommendations were not its position and it wouldn't be changing policy. Barry Caffrey, BBC London.
Now, following success for Arsenal women and Tottenham, Chelsea hope to make it a London treble by winning a European trophy tonight. Thousands of fans have travelled to Poland for the Conference League final against Spanish side Real Betis. Our sports reporter Chris Slegg is there ahead of the game. Chris, what's the mood like amongst Chelsea fans?
Well, Alpa, 42,000 fans of both sides heading into the stadium right now. kick-off just over an hour away. And the mood here is jovial and friendly, but unfortunately, half an hour drive southeast of here in the city centre this afternoon, there was a disturbance. Police tell us several hundred fans involved in that, 28 arrests made, and police stand ready should that situation materialise again later or perhaps exacerbate. But the vast majority of fans have been mixing freely and being friendly towards one another. Most are here just to enjoy the occasion and hopefully enjoy a good football match. And yes, we've seen Chelsea win much bigger prizes than this one, but for the fans who are here, they could see their team become the first to win every trophy available and create a unique piece of football history.
Chelsea! 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 Chelsea!
There's no doubt the Conference League matters to Chelsea fans, even though they have seen their team compete in more prestigious finals.
I've been to a few, but I don't know, this one feels a bit different with Enzo Maresca and a brand new team, so let's just win it and that's it.
It'd be a great boost. It's what we need. I just think it'd be great if we did. When we do.
Confident?
Absolutely.
It's about us keeping that momentum up now. We've done well to get in the Champions League, so I think for us it would be a successful season.
Enzo Maresca has already qualified Chelsea for the Champions League. He could now add a trophy in his first year.
The most complicated thing this season about the conference has been to convince the player that for us was the best competition in the world. And the reason why was because it's the competition that we were in.
You can't neglect, any competition you're in, and you need to give it your all. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's a huge European competition.
Chelsea fielded the youngest team in Premier League history throughout this season. 24 years, 36 days, the average age. If they get their hands on the real version of that trophy, that's a big step forward for this young team. It's also an historic step. Chelsea fans need no reminding what the club has won throughout the years.
2 Champions League titles.
6 league titles.
8 FA Cups.
5 League Cups.
2 Europa Leagues.
2 Cup Winners' Cups.
1 FIFA Club World Cup.
2 Super Cups.
4 Community Shields.
And hopefully 1 Conference League.
Lifelong fan Tim is among those eager to see Chelsea complete the set.
This matters because it's a European final. I know Chelsea have been in lots of European finals the last 25 years and I've been lucky enough to have been to all of them. It means we've won every trophy we've competed for, European level and domestic level, and we'll be the only teams to have done that. And we already sing we've won it all, but if we win tonight, we really have won it all.
The goal now to bring a brand new prize back to the Stamford Bridge trophy cabinet.
Chris Slegg reporting there, and good luck to Chelsea. Now, this striking building standing in the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in Stratford is a museum. It's the new East London home of the V&A, where thousands of objects are going on display. Alice Solfield has been for a look around ahead of its opening weekend.
It's unrecognisable now, but this was once the Media and Broadcast Centre for the London 2012 Olympics. Now it's the V&A's latest exhibition space.
Why we wanted to come here is because East London has always been the place that has made London. It's where creativity is. It's where designers have been innovating for hundreds of years, but it's never been served by a big national collection before.
Everything you see in Storehouse used to be in West London, and we had to move it to a new site. Moving a collection of this scale is not something you really want to do very often. It's hugely expensive and time consuming. So we set ourselves the challenge of creating something new at the other end.
So they took over 1/5 of their entire collection, previously hidden away, and brought it out into the open, creating a working store that's also a visitor attraction.
There are 250,000 objects on display here, all accessible to the public for the very first time, and many of them rooted in East London, like this photo of a little boy wearing a homemade West Ham jumper, this model of the Olympic flame from 2012, the games which happened just outside of this building here. And these objects range from 5,000 years old to the modern day.
So order an object is the way that people, it's moving access to objects from on display to on demand. So you can go online, book up to 5 objects per appointment.
And there's some things we can touch, like this bag?
Exactly. So some things you can just see, just observe, some things can be touched.
And I can even open it, can I?
You can, yeah.
I can even see the label inside. Only time in my life I think I'll ever touch a Versace bag.
So one of the things that's also special about this way of accessing objects is that sort of unboxing moment. It really is a wow factor when you see iconic things for the first time.
Yeah, it is a wow moment. Look at that.
Yeah. So this is Elton John, an outfit, jacket and trousers.
They believe this is a world first, anyone being able to get up close and personal with any item. The whole concept of the storehouse, giving people a backstage pass to the V&A. Alice Oldfield, BBC London.
Right, let's take a look at the weather now. And Louise Lear is here. Any more rain to come?
A few showers, but more warmth to come, actually. But I don't know about you. I was jumping for joy because I didn't have to go and water my garden. We had some rain yesterday. Just under ½ an inch of rain fell across the London area. Today, we have seen some scattered showers, but it's been an improving picture and it's getting warmer towards the end of the week. So for those off for the half-term break, that will probably come as very welcome news. So if you do have any outdoor plans, I don't think you're going to be too disappointed in this story. Now, through this evening, we see quite a lot of clouds spilling in. Small chance for shower just up across parts of Buckinghamshire and Hertfordshire during the early hours. That will ease away. We keep the cloudy skies to start the day. It'll be a relatively mild and a breezy start to the day, but the cloud should then start to break up and we'll have some sunshine coming through. You'll be very unlucky if you catch a shower tomorrow, but there is a slim chance of an isolated one. On the whole, blustery, sunny spells, and the showers few and far between, and top temperatures sitting at around 22 degrees. That's 72 Fahrenheit now as we move into the weekend. Ahead of this cold front, we're actually going to tap into a little pulse of warm air that's coming all the way up from the near continent. So temperatures are likely to get warmer into the weekend. It's only going to be a brief warm spell, but that will certainly have an impact on the feel of the weather. So as we go into Friday, a little bit of cloud around because of that cold front moving down. Best of the breaks in the cloud and the sunshine to the south of London, but the temperatures will still be on the warm side. 25 is 77 Fahrenheit. We're going to keep that warmth into the start of the weekend, despite this weather front starting to push its way in from the west. So there is a change in the forecast, but it is likely that the weekend is going to be dry, settled and sunny. By the time everybody goes back to school, back to work, more rain in the forecast. There you go, looking good.
Fantastic news. Louise Lear, thank you. Now the main headlines. Police have been given extra time to question a man arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after a car ploughed into football fans during Liverpool's victory parade on Monday. A former French surgeon has been sentenced to 20 years after admitting sexually abusing hundreds of patients, most of them minors. The 74-year-old has been dubbed France's most prolific paedophile. That's it from me. Goodbye.